Shalom family! I'm really excited to put this video together for you because yesterday I know I flew by all my information in Shabbat about things that we want to stay away from. We're eating foods as we're going through this cleanse, detox, and reset, but also beyond that. So I really hope that you listen in through this whole video. It's not that long, but it'll really help you to just really get in line, especially because if we're remembering with scripture that our bodies are a temple of Yahuwah and the Ruach HaKodesh, right? And so in knowing that, and knowing that our bodies are his temple, knowing that from what Maury brought out yesterday, that we are the living embodiment of Yahusha, for example, because we're pushing out his works, we need to be able to function in the best way possible. So that being said, I'm going to reiterate some of the things that I shared yesterday and expound upon one more new thing that would be really helpful during this time to set you off right. But if that is not enough, think about it like this. Why are we eating food that Babylon is feeding us when they want us dead? When they want us not to exist, when they don't want us to be connected to our Elohim? Why are we trusting them with our food and our snacks and feeding our kids and everything? Is it really worth eating just because we're being lazy or we're tired or we're busy or because it's seemingly cheap? Because though it seems cheap, it's not. We end up going to the hospital. We end up spending all this money to prevent illness when we could just eating our way prevention, so and that's something that we're going to go over during this as well, like how to prevent some of that illness and some of the foods that we'll eat. And the easiest thing is the smoothies and the juices and soups that you're going to see through these documents that I'm going to share. But if nothing else, if you don't listen to anything else in this video, one thing I want you to just say to yourself: if I look at the ingredients and there's something that I don't understand, I'm going to put it back and I'm going to run. Like, seriously, just run. Because anything that's too scientific or the ingredients seem strange, it's not worth eating. Everything should be very easily read, okay? So let me get started. So one of the things I covered was food colorings from unnatural sources. I say unnatural sources because there are natural ways to get in food coloring, such as from extracting from beets or spinach or turmeric. You can get beautiful colors for food if you want it to look interesting, but it's not necessary, to be honest. But that's something to think about. But with Babylon, what they like to do is they take chemicals and put it in your body to give you these vibrant colors that really should not be in your food ever. So for example, blue 1 and blue 2, they're known to cause brain cancer. Green 3, it's known to cause bladder and testicular tumors. Red 3 causes thyroid tumors. And so especially if someone has thyroid problems, you don't want to deal with all them strange colors, because in one area your body is thrown off, what your body's going to do is that it's going to push all its energy into this one spot, right? So it's not going to focus on anything else. So you're putting this whole imbalance. And then you wonder why you're always sick, even though you're trying to eat healthy, or you are eating healthy by Babylon standards, right? So that's something to consider. Another thing which is kind of gross is that red 4 is known to be derived from a cockroach-like insect. Not Levitically clean, definitely not a locust or anything like that. So that's worth considering. And now you see red 40, which is really hard to find where that derives from. And that, I just feel like it's the same thing. They're just renaming it because people are catching on that it's from a bug. Yellow 6 is known to cause tumors in the adrenal glands and the kidneys. So these are very important to understand because they're in your cereals, they're in your pastries, your cakes, they're in maraschino cherries, they're in all your restaurant foods, they're in your bread, they're in your cereal. Well, I think I said cereal already, but they're in your sodas, your juices, they're in everything. They're in everything. Just look it up. But it's so important to pay attention to ingredients, and that is just a teeny bitty fraction of the craziness of Babylon when it comes to our food. Another one which I am terribly guilty of, and I put myself before you because I know I'm guilty of, is caffeine. I love my coffee, but I also know that my coffee is not good. Why? Because it's highly acidic. If you're not getting enough water, even if you are getting enough water, you're putting your body in a more acidic rate, which makes you more prone to sickness. You want your body to be more alkaline. So more alkaline foods, what you want to eat, which we'll go over in another video. But that being said, caffeine is dangerous to the body because it depletes the body of vitamin C and it leaches minerals like magnesium and calcium from your bones. It also dries up your blood pressure and your heart rate. So there are people that have died just from having way too much caffeine in their bodies, thinking that they're fine, they're just drinking their energy drinks or drinking a bunch of coffee or Turkish coffee or whatever the case may be. But beyond that, what Babylon is doing is that they're making us weak, physically weak and spiritually weak addicts. So we're constantly putting this stuff in our bodies, and then what's happening is that our neurons are not firing right to be receptive to the spiritual realm, because Yahuwah does stuff in the natural, right? So all the waves and the energy that Yahuwah utilizes to speak with us, we're disrupting that. So we're making it harder for us to be receptive to what Yahuwah is telling us. And then on top of that, we are physically weakened. So if we ever needed to go to battle, we're not going to be able to be as effective as our ancestors. We're not going to be like Yehuda, taking down kingdoms single-handedly. It's not going to happen if we keep poisoning ourselves. So food for thought. Another one is artificial sweeteners. It hurts the circulatory system. It increases the possibility of vascular events such as stroke and heart attacks. And it's in your gum. It's in your soda. It's in your diet foods. It's in your desserts. It's in your teas. It's in your bread. It's in so many things. So pay attention. It's so important to look at those ingredients. But what happens on if you want to lose weight, for example, what it does is that it stimulates your appetite. It increases carb cravings. It promotes fat storage, and it promotes weight gain. And for those people that are naturally skinny or don't really gain weight, please don't rejoice. It's scarier for you. And the reason why is that skinny people that have a hard time gaining the external weight is that internally what's happening is that all that fat is going around the organ and marbling in the organ. Think of it as like a piece of steak that has all that fat marbled in. It's like that, and you're not gonna be able to cook it out. Not like me cooking a steak. So but you can detox it out, and a lot of it is just through better eating habits. So keep that in mind, that what happens with that fat around those organs is that it just keeps growing and growing and growing so your organs can't function, and then it hardens. And then think about that around your heart or your liver or something that is vital to you. Not everybody can get it around their pancreas and well, I can function, and really, do you want to just be in a state of just functioning, or do you want to be in the best state that you can be to be utilized by Yahuwah, right? Another one that I covered was protein powders. So protein powders are highly processed proteins, what they utilize. Most of the time you see some kind of protein isolate, whether it's soy or whey. And what that means is that the full complex of the protein that you'll see in meat, for example, what they do, they take a fraction of it, through science. They take some of that out and they give you just enough so that you can build up muscle and restore muscle. But you're missing all that wonderful nutrients that comes with that protein to keep it stable in your body. Your body doesn't recognize what that is because it's an isolation of the full protein complex. So what's happening, you're going to start building antibodies and your body's not going to respond anymore. You're going to start getting sick more. You're going to possibly build an allergy. I have several allergies because my body did not understand what I was eating. And that is something that I understand why Yahuwah has done that, allow that to happen to me so that I can help educate others so that they don't have to go through that and have so many food allergies where it's difficult to even eat out anywhere. So another thing about that is that protein powders are processed with chemicals, they have preservatives, they have other additives. The regulations also allow a certain amount of rat droppings and urines in the protein supplement. And little food for thought, so soda cans are allowed some rat urine on top of it, so you're not really cleaned out on it. And there's other foods like that too. We can't just look at it and say, oh, okay, I'm fine because it's not this. Pay attention to the regulations. Look at the FDA. Really do some research on there because it's important, because we know they're not Levitically clean, right? And it's gross. Really? Anyway, the other thing that I did not mention was veggie burgers. So veggie burgers, most veggie burgers have neurotoxins and carcinogens. Some of them are derived, it's derived naturally to a degree, but basically what it is that a lot of the ingredients together, they're not meant to be cooked in high heat or anything, not supposed to be cooked. So they turn into a carcinogen. Some of them just have carcinogens because of their additives. So it's important to understand what those are doing. But what happens is that those cheap oils, so like canola oil, soy oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, they're extracted with hexane, which is a neurotoxin, which again, it affects the neurons, right? So it affects your brain, it affects you getting connected to your hua. What happens with these cheap oils is that it causes omega-6 fatty acids imbalance that increases the risk of inflammation, heart disease, obesity, prostate, and bone cancer. Other ingredients such as TVP, which is textured vegetable proteins, MSG, which is known migraines, toxicity, and autoimmune disorders. GMOs, if you see corn or soy, it's a GMO. It's just what it is. It's hard to find a non-GMO version of these things anymore. It's been so manipulated in this. So that's something else that you really want to pay attention to. And then the last thing, which I feel like society has taught us to love agave nectar, but it actually is not good for you at all. It's not made from the sap of agave plant. It's made from the starch of the plant root. It's called inulin, which is made up of chains of fructose. The result is 70 to 90% fructose, which is more than high fructose corn syrup, and that stuff is terrible for you. So it's even more than that. We'll get into high fructose corn syrup in another video, okay? So the reason why it's so bad is that though it doesn't significantly spike your blood sugar, it goes straight to your liver. And how your liver processes it is that it turns the fructose into triglycerides, which increases your risk of heart disease. Okay? And our people are already prone to that because of just the curses and everything that we have in our foods and garbage. It's terrible. It also risks diabetes. It risks non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is basically fat accumulation around the liver. It is also processed like corn syrup using genetically modified enzymes and a chemically intensive process that uses various chemicals that our body does not understand. And one thing about how Yahuwah made the body work is that if it doesn't understand it, it rejects it. So you're putting all this stuff over time that just rejects and rejects and rejects, and your body's trying to process it out. But if you don't give it the opportunity to process it out, it hits somewhere else. For some people, it hits in the physical. And some people that feel like they're perfect and they're fine and they're healthy, what's happening is that it's hitting them in the spiritual. I would much rather it get hit in the physical than the spiritual. At least I connect to Yahuwah and say, hey, what do I need to do to clean up? And I'm thankful for what Yahuwah has brought me through and what he's still bringing me through, because honey, I have not arrived, but I've had 9 years to help the tribe get to a better level, and then also challenge myself to grow and be accountable to all of you as we're trying to continue cleaning ourselves up so we can be better like our ancestors. So anyway, please keep all this in mind as you're going through this. Don't allow the 50% allowance in the option one that Ema gave to be an excuse to eat nonsense. Obviously, if there are addictions, you want to process it as slowly as possible. But as Ema said, push yourself the best way you can. Push yourself. It's so important to push yourself towards it. I'm staying completely away from caffeine, and this is the hardest part of my life right now. And I have little babies. It's so hard, but girl, I'm gonna do it. I got my alternative coffee here, which is not alternative coffee. I'm gonna find something good, and I'm gonna do it because I'm gonna be accountable, because I know that I'm not perfect, and I want you guys to just really allow yourself grace, but continue to do as Ema said, to push yourself. So I hope you find value in this video. I love you guys. I have another document coming soon. Hopefully I'll have that done by tomorrow afternoon, so that way you can have more recipes, more information that you can have in your little library to help you continue to grow. And then I'm also going to finish up the website that I have noted in the first document, just so that you can find it online, because I have my own personal blogging website to help people. I don't really promote it, but I'm going to do it for you guys because I really want you guys to have it available in the best way possible that makes sense to you. So anyway, I'm rambling. I love you. Thank you guys so much, and I will talk to you soon. Shalom.